Will we be seeing Shadow's dark past in the third Sonic movie? The first time we saw something related to this character, it was in the second Sonic movie. This immediately made us more than eager to see the third installment of this film series, since none of the previous installments have disappointed so far, and part of the reason we wanted to know exactly what they would do with the character. Specifically, we wanted to see if we would be seeing how Shadow was created, and how he came to be the biggest threat Sonic Team would be facing so far. Well, thanks to the trailer, we got a glimpse of what we'll be seeing about the character in this third installment. And believe it or not, it's going to be a lot darker than you might think. Why do I say that? Well, this is because a tragedy will happen. One so devastating that we will undoubtedly understand the reason behind Shadow's actions. What tragedy am I talking about? How bad would Shadow's past have to be for him to become such a threat? In this video, we will be discussing all these details. And for more videos of your favorite series and movies, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Welcome to the Oasis Geek. This trailer begins with Tom explaining to Sonic that he finally found his family. Tom goes on to say that he knows it wasn't always easy, but that didn't make him change who he was in his heart. This first interaction, even if you don't catch it until you watch the trailer for at least a second time, is foreshadowing that what we will see later on will be the complete opposite of what we hear in the first few seconds. We then see them say that there has been a high-level security breach, that they need immediate assistance from Sonic Team, and that Project Shadow is far beyond anything they've ever faced. The dialogue continues with the explanation that Shadow's story began very similar to Sonic's, but that where Sonic found family and friends, Shadow only found suffering and loss. And it's here that we get a taste of what Sonic and his friends will be facing next, as we could see Shadow effortlessly defeat the trio, demonstrating a level of superiority against his opponents. In fact, this character is so strong that we see our heroes being forced to work alongside their main enemy, Dr. Robotnik. So, what happened that transformed Shadow into what we know today? In the original Sonic lore, Shadow's origin begins many years ago, being the result of an experiment called Project Shadow, a secret government-sanctioned project under the direction of Professor Gerald Robotnik, Dr. Eggman's grandfather aboard the Ark space colony. The goal of the project was to create the ultimate life form as a weapon for the United Federation. Although Gerald planned to use the results of the project to find a cure for his dying granddaughter, Maria. The name Shadow was chosen for two reasons. One was an irony about how a shadow cannot be created, that immortality was impossible and serves as a metaphor for unreal things, while the other came from Maria, who said that shadows could teach people the way into the light. At some point, Gerald made a deal with Black Doom, the leader of the Black Arms, whose DNA would be used to create Shadow in exchange for being given the 7 Chaos Emeralds when the Black Comet returned to Earth in 50 years. Meanwhile, Gerald created the Eclipse Cannon, a laser capable of harnessing the powers of the Chaos Emeralds to destroy the Black Comet upon its return. Upon awakening, Shadow began his life in the Ark, forming a bond with Maria and assisting the researchers. At some point, details of Project Shadow leaked to the Guardian Unit of Nations, or GUN for short. Fearing Gerald's true involvement with the Black Arms, the government then ordered the GUN to raid the Ark and shut down the project. During the raid, Gerald was captured, and all the researchers involved with Project Shadow were killed, as well as Maria, who asked Shadow to give all the people of Earth a chance at happiness and to protect them, just before activating Shadow's escape capsule, where he was helplessly ejected to Earth. Shadow's capsule was recovered by the GUN and was placed in suspended animation on Prison Island, where Gerald was forced to continue his research under government supervision. Gerald began secretly brainwashing Shadow, altering his memories so that he believed he was destined to destroy humanity. Gerald also secretly kept a diary, in which he encouraged anyone who found him and desired mass destruction to free Shadow. Gerald was soon imprisoned and executed, while Shadow remained in stasis, until he was discovered by Dr. Eggman grandson of Dr. Gerald Robotnik. 50 years later, Shadow is freed by Dr. Eggman, who intends to use him to conquer the world. At first, Shadow agrees to help Eggman, believing that he aligns himself with his purpose. However, as he confronts Sonic and interacts with other characters, he begins to question his motives and Maria's true desire. In the end, Shadow decides to fulfill Maria's true desire to protect humanity by sacrificing himself to prevent the Ark from crashing into Earth. Will we be seeing this same version of Shadow in the third film? Everything seems to indicate so, the only thing that has its respective modifications to go according to the film. For example, from what we saw in the second Sonic movie, the government is the one who finds the location of the antagonist of this movie. And thanks to them, we see that this character manages to wake up and escape. As I mentioned, in the original lore, it is Dr. Eggman who frees him. Another thing is that we will be seeing Maria Robotnik, and I have no doubt that we will be shown how strong Shadow's bond with her was. Just as we will be seeing how Shadow, having lost what is most precious to him, will cause him to transform and want to take revenge, without needing to be reprogrammed by Dr. Gerald Robotnik. And speaking of Eggman's grandfather, this character will also go through a very big change and makes him very different from how he was in the original lore. This is because this character is eventually executed, and years later his grandson is the one who continues to use Shadow for his nefarious motives. But as we saw in the trailer, this character was apparently never executed, implying to us that perhaps in this film, Shadow did not go through the brainwashing process, but was in some ways driven mad by his loss, referring to Maria, of course, and that it is not until the film is about to be concluded that we will see Shadow reflecting and remembering the words little Maria said to him before she was eliminated, which were, to give all the people of Earth a chance to be happy and protect them. Transforming her way of seeing humanity and trying to live by these words to somehow keep her memory alive. Or who knows, maybe we will see Dr. Gerald Robotnik doing exactly the same as in the original lore, brainwashing Shadow, being captured by the gun, but somehow he managed to fool everyone into thinking they got rid of him, when in reality things are very different. And that's why we get to see him at the end of the trailer reuniting with his grandson. Other than that, it seems that everything will follow the lore, since in the images we get to see him in what appears to be a laboratory, starting his bond with little Maria. And we even have an image where we see Shadow kneeling on the floor, and next to him is Dr. Gerald Robotnik. And if we go according to the lore, this seems to be the moment when Maria leaves the plane of existence, thanks to the gun. But tell me, what do you think about all this? Are you just as eager to see how they managed to capture Shadow's incredible origin story in the live-action version? How do you think Dr. Gerald Robotnik is still alive? Is it some kind of illusion or trick that Shadow is using to fool Dr. Eggman? And for more videos of your favorite series and movies, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You are on The Oasis Geek.